Going in 10. 3, 2, 1, go.
Message of the week this week is intensity is the secret sauce. And today we have Ricky, Aaron, and Garrett here to discuss this with me. We are going to start off with how you guys would brief this in a class. Just a quick overview of what we'll be talking about today. Ricky, you gonna go first?
Oh, I talk a lot. I think, again, I deal a lot in just simple facts of intensity is what gives us the most benefit. It's the bang for our buck, right? Intensity is what we call the secret sauce. And the truth is that's how we get favorable adaptations for every workout. You push the intensity, you get the metabolic conditioning, you get the cardiovascular, you get all of these extra benefits with that. And that's honestly in a week's worth, that's what I say typically.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like the burrito analogy where, like, if your workout routine or schedule is the burrito, intensity is the hot sauce that can make your burrito delicious. But if you add too much, you're going to ruin your meal. So using it wisely and sparingly. And if you have a high tolerance for spice, like maybe you can add a little bit more, but you don't want to ruin your meal. So be smart.
I love that one.
That's a really good one.
Garrett?
I usually tackle onto what Aaron says about it's, you can have too much of it in a said week or meal, as you like to put it. That was like very
Everything's about food.
It's now making me hungry now that it's lunchtime. So, but I like to touch on it. It's variable for everybody, and it makes it adaptable for everybody, right? It allows CrossFit to be equal for everybody that walks through these doors. The intensity can be applied in different ways so that everybody gets a similar type of workout, similar type of feel to it. So that it's like one of the cornerstones of CrossFit, right? It's like the perceived intensity of those. So it definitely makes it adaptable that my mom can do it and you can do it and you can do it. So those types of things. So yeah.
I guess it's important to discuss, which I didn't write it in our questions. Sorry if you're caught off guard, but what is intensity?
Who has the CrossFit definition?
Where's Samantha?
I know.
Samantha and Justin, where are you?
I can look up my hands.
It's I mean, intensity is power, right?
Yeah.
So it's force times distance divided by
Yeah.
time.
Yeah.
So what is that? What does that mean?
Jeez. I think what's hard is it's not necessarily the definition, but it's how to make it relatable. It's how to like explain that. So force times distance over, yeah. It's I don't know. I don't know exactly like the best way to.
Yeah, I would describe it as it's the work that we do in here for the time that we do it, for the distances that we do it, right? If you want to mix the two together, it's like how long we're working out, what are we using to work out? Not necessarily the repetitions of that, right? Because that's more of the volume base, but it's more of like, how far we're running, how quickly we're running, how heavy we're lifting, those types of things.
I almost think in like metaphor, right? If you were to do 50 back squats over the course of an hour, right? Like you're still putting in effort. Now, if you were to say, let's do 50 back squats for time, let's now put it within like 15 to 20 minutes. Which one, right? One is absolutely more intense and is going to probably yield better results over time, while the other one is more of like slow progressive, like you're not really like one is absolutely more intense. And I think this is a metaphor that anybody can get behind. If I were to do 50 back squats and I'm doing 10 every 12-ish minutes over the course of an hour, I'm looking at that going like, I can recover, things are good. But if you were to now cut that into a third of the time, anybody can relate to that is intense, that is rough, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I think it is important to have like standards and definitions of, what do we mean when we say intensity and how is that measured? Like, how do we measure that against what we're doing? But I think ultimately it is very subjective what is intense. We've had athletes in the gym that were D1 cross country runners. And so running a 5K is not very intense to them. And then we have people like myself who are not distance runners of any kind, and so trying to run a 5K as fast as I can is very intense.
Yeah.
And so I think the subjective piece is very important, and I find that to be interesting because it also teaches you about your own body
Mhm.
and like your own strengths. Um, yeah.
Yeah, we're gonna get into this a little bit later, but what you just touched on the 5K is, yeah, Lindsay's 5K, or our D1 track athlete over here. She might run her 5K in 18 minutes, and that's her intensity, and that's high intense for her. Whereas maybe like, okay, Erin's running that in 22, 23 minutes, 24,
Like 28.
okay, 28 minutes. But
That's the last time I tested
Could have
it.
just went to
The
be like,
last time I tested
Come
it.
on, take the 22.
Guys,
kidding.
I have never done that. I can't lie. Can't lie to you people.
Erin's going at 28 minutes, which is okay, 10 minutes different than Lindsay, but or our D1 track athlete. We're saying Lindsay, she's our D1 track athlete.
our
But that
current
doesn't
team
mean
was
that
Our
that-
current T1
that
driver.
doesn't mean that is not intense for Erin.
Right.
That was Erin's high intensity in that moment. So kind of how I like to think about it is going hard,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Lifting. Are you lifting heavy?
Yeah.
For you.
Yeah.
Is your heart rate up? Are you sweating? Are you like huffing and puffing? Are you putting yourself in an uncomfortable situation? That's kind of how I think about intensity a little bit.
Yeah. I would agree.
Okay, let's get into this.
And also to give Lindsay some credit, also not to say that running a 5K for time is not intense for Lindsay either.
No,
let's
for
give
sure.
let's give the lady some
Yeah.
credit.
That touches on just how intensity varies per
Yes.
Yeah.
If she were to run a 5K at my pace, it probably would not be intense.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
that's actually a great way to put it. Like, yeah, Lindsay's running with Erin. It might not be as intense for Lindsay because she's run track her whole life or cross country, right? So, yeah, that's a great way to put it. Okay, so we're going to start with a quote from Greg Glassman, our founder and creator of CrossFit. He said, "Intensity is the independent variable most commonly associated with favorable adaptations." Break this down for us. What does this mean?
Well, what we just talked about to start, the independent variable, right? So that's the part that might be shifting and moving, right? Subjective or, kind of just varying, I suppose. Who wants to take the next section?
So I'm reading it because I was thinking just about this. It brings the most favorable adaptations. If you, again, you kind of, I touched a metaphor before, but when you talk about intensity levels, like people call it recovery days, right? Where like they're going to go to the track and they're going to walk the track for 10 to 15 minutes. That's not a bad adaptation. I mean, it doesn't really cause an adaptation. It's just you've got your body moving, your heart rate is, you're moving, you've got blood flow, you're getting off the couch, which is great. Now, if you were to say, let's add an intensity level, let's say you take that same time domain of 10 to 15 minutes, but now you're going to sprint at like 80-90% for 100 meters, walk for 200, and you're going to continue to do that for 10 to 15 minutes, right? You've done the same time domain, adding that intensity level. The adaptations you get from that, again, we've kind of already touched on it a little bit. Your metabolic rate goes up, your cardiovascular is pumping, your VO2 max is increasing, you're learning to recover, right? So you have all of these things that come into play that just give you a better or healthier fitness regimen ultimately, right? In my mind, every time I think about, there are days you're going to be like low intensity, we're just here to lift and we're just going to spend like every 4 minutes we're going to do 4 bench press. It's like, yes, perfect, I got a little sweat on, I'm doing good, right? But once you start really escalating your heart rate and doing all of those things, you get more bang for your buck, that 10 to 15 minutes of sprinting rather than just that walk.
Yeah.
In my mind,
I sort of think about, something that is happening, and I don't know when this is going to come out, but something that's very relevant in like culture right now is Alex Honnold free soloing Taipei 101, right? So he climbed a skyscraper in Taipei with no ropes, right? And he is a hyper specialized athlete, right? Um, he part of his training regimen was to come to a rig like this and not do like pull-ups on a pull-up bar, but across the rig, like holding the poles, right? To like simulate what it's going to be like to hold this, building and the structure and do that for hours, right? So like he's over fatiguing himself. That's really intense. That's like a lot of intensity in his training. And he probably isn't like the strongest back squatter of all time, or like, has the man ever done a power clean? maybe, we don't know. So I think about that and then taking it, we kind of do the opposite in CrossFit, right? Like our entire methodology is to be a generalist and not a hyper specialized athlete. And so to me, that's where intensity comes in, where we will do max lifting days, but we will also do a 5K for time. We will also do, all of these different ways of pushing our intensity so that over time we're able to run 10 miles with kind of basic training, right? Like we don't have to spend a year building up to running 10 miles, or we can do a max lift. Like we can kind of do all of it, but the reason we're able to do all of it is because we add in the intensity piece in all of these different ways.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. While Ricky was talking, it kind of clicked to me. Is like intensity could also be is like another form of like stress, right? We're stressing our bodies, we're stressing our cardiovascular systems, we're stressing our muscular system, skeletal systems, our balance, all of those things. Like it's the applied stress, and if you don't apply enough stress, that pushes adaptation, pushes that fatigue, that uncom- uncomfortableness. You're not going to adapt, right? If we just do what's comfortable all the time, you'll never be more than what you are, flat out, right? So as long as you start pushing it a little bit more, whether it's a little bit more weight, a little bit faster time, a little bit longer distance, those types of things, that starts moving you into a uncomfortable area, a more stressful area, more intensified type deal. So it's
Yeah.
very important.
That's
Right?
perfect. And just going off of that, like you can't adapt and get better if you're not giving your body something to adapt to.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Right? So you
Yeah.
gotta add in that intensity piece, whatever that looks like. Like um intensity can even be lifting heavy,
Mhm.
right? Like it doesn't have to be your heart rate's 100 or sorry, 170. It can be you're lifting heavy and you're challenging yourself in your reps, right?
Mhm.
That's another really interesting thing about intensity is the intensity here allows CrossFitters to run a 5K and then come and lift 90% of their 1 rep max,
Yeah.
which is pretty crazy,
Just
It is.
ridiculous.
right? Like when you really think about it, that's pretty insane.
Yeah.
But we practice that, and we practice those intensities. Like for instance, Monday we did rope climbs, box jump overs, max bite calories, and then we snatched after.
Mhm.
And like it's hard, but like
It was really hard.
it was
It was really hard. I didn't
it
even want to
was
hold.
so hard.
I could barely hold on to the barbell.
Yeah.
And it was just
It's Alex Honnold training.
you might not be lifting what you would lift if that's how you're starting the workout, and you're resting every 4 minutes and trying to do a hang snatch plus a snatch, but because you're lifting when you're tired, you're gaining strength in a different way.
Yeah.
Right? So yeah, that intensity is really, really important, especially with what we do here. And I loved what you said about like with CrossFit, which is kind of interesting. You don't have to train for a 10K because if you come into CrossFit regularly, you'll probably be able to run a 10K. Okay.
You might not win.
Yeah. So unless you want to win, then if you want to win, maybe add in a little extra training. But like if you want to just hang, like
In the middle of the pack.
yeah,
Yeah.
that's really like how I felt when I was running my half this year. I was running and I was like feeling pretty good. And some people were passing me and I was like, well, that person probably can't squat clean. like, and that's silly, but I was like, it is really cool that like I can do this with minimal training
Yeah.
and still lift weights at the gym yesterday and like whatever. I just think that's really special about CrossFit. Okay, getting into another quote that Greg Glassman said is, "Be impressed by intensity, not volume." What does he mean by this?
Oh.
Oh yeah, you're
But
going.
I think kind of, I mean, what we've already been talking about. I mean, I would rather see someone. Okay, let's just take like an example. Maybe we have a workout that is a little bit longer, let's say like a 14-minute workout or so, 12, 14 minutes, and it's sort of like a moderate weight with a little bit higher repetition. That's going to be kind of an intense workout. So maybe your barbell is like for ladies like 85, 105, and it's 10 reps of something. That's like kind of right in that middle sweet spot of like, this one's going to get like spicy and intense. I would rather, personally, as a coach, I would rather see someone maybe scale a weight so that they're able to like move a little faster and keep the intensity up, do more reps, than try to go RX and they're standing there staring at the barbell and they can only do 3 reps at a time before they have to drop it. So in my mind, like that's like kind of what I think about intensity versus volume is like I would rather see you hit the intensity stimulus that we're trying to get you to hit than just chase a number because it is written that way and that's your highest option and you want to like be able to write down that you did it
I
as written.
I really like how you said that because I've never thought of it that way. When I think of this one, I always think people always just want more. Well, can I come to the gym more? Can I do an extra session after class? Can I do this? And I've always been like, our main thing is like, okay, but are you hitting the intensity of the class? Because if you are, you're probably not going to want to do something afterwards, right? That's the idea.
Right.
So I love how you said that because I've never thought of it like even just in class in a workout, like the intensity is the stimulus of the workout.
Mhm.
And so if you're going above what's going to make it above or below what's going to get you in that stimulus, you're missing that intensity piece for that day.
Right.
Or at least the intensity we're looking for.
Yeah, so like let's say there's 10 reps of a barbell movement and the like 2.0, the highest option is let's say 85 pounds and you can lift 85 pounds. Can you hang on to 65 pounds for 10 reps? Unbroken? Like let's do that first before we just start like
Right.
trying to add and add. And there's some wiggle room there, right? Like there's always a threshold where you're going to kind of be like in between and trying to scale up and that's okay. But yeah, I think, or like you said, like what else can I do? I want to come more. I want to do more. Like maybe just be a little more intense with what we're already doing.
Yeah. Intense and intentional, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, like a 214 Fran RX is different than doing RX and it taking 14 minutes.
Who's got 214 here? Oh, you probably.
It's not
I think
your- just
I think my fastest was like 230 something. So I was pretty
Okay,
close.
I hit sub 5 one time.
That workout changes very differently after like 2 minutes though.
That's yeah, like the stimulus, what we are shooting for in the workout is so important, more important than the difficulty.
Yeah.
It's kind of what I feel like you're kind of getting at.
Yeah.
Which, like today, for instance, if strict handstand push-ups, if 10 strict handstand push-ups takes me 6 minutes, I'm missing my stimulus because it should take me 6 to 8 minutes,
Yeah.
right? So
And like, how are we like? What do we mean when we say volume, right? Like, are we talking about weight? Are we talking about reps? Or are we talking about amount that we're training?
right.
Kind of both of those
Volume is
things.
a measure outside of time, right?
Yeah.
Everything we're talking about is more of like a time-based thing, right? Can you hold on for this much time? Can you complete it under this time, right? Like volume is just volume, right? You look at a workout like Cindy, it's a preset time. So at that point, intensity is what pace can you hold? That is your intensity. Like outside of like, can you do pull-ups and push-ups, right? Those are some cruxes there, but can you maintain your sets for that pace, right? A perfect example, like Cindy, is like, can you hold on to minute rounds? What can you do to hold on to minute rounds or 2 minute rounds, right? Like, I think the goal of Cindy is like anywhere from like 10 to 15 rounds for average CrossFitter, right? Like, that would be to me, like you tell me you can get 15 rounds of Cindy, I'm like, damn, you're fit. Right?
Yeah.
Not to say that if you get under that, you're not fit, you're definitely still fit, but that is that level of intensity. And like, that requires no weight. There's no weight in that whatsoever.
Yeah.
It is just pacing and what can you maintain intensity at, right? I think that's still a very high volume type thing, but we've also now given you a certain time period that you can complete as much as you can in that. So Fran's another good example. It's like, sure, do 21-15-9 thrusters and pull-ups. You could take all day and do that and be no problem, but it's like you can do it sub 2, sub 3. It's like, yeah, that is some high intensity right there. And you're probably not going to want to work out after that. Like, if you feel like you need to work out after that, you did something different. Or
Just don't laugh for the rest of the day.
Oh,
Fran Lung is always like, it's like I don't feel it, and then something makes me laugh, and then I'm like,
I think Glassman tells a story about how Frank came about and how like the first time he did it, he threw up in a garbage can. He was like, and then he had somebody else do it. He was like, "You gotta try this.
He's like, this is
This
awesome.
is awesome." And then I was like, that might have been a little over intensity, too much hot sauce. But yeah,
Barfing.
I mean, I would say that is, that's what we're talking about. All right, that's where we're getting at. Like volume, we do a lot of volume. Like don't say we don't do volume, but it's more important about how you're applying that volume, and that is our intensity case.
Love that.
Yeah.
So I think another thing is like and I feel like I've heard Justin talk about this because I feel like every time something like this comes up with intensity, we talk about this in percentages. If you have somebody, and hopefully I can do my math correctly on this, if you have a person coming to the gym 5 days a week, but they're coming in and they're doing 40% effort, right? That's 200% over the course of the week, if I'm doing my math right.
Yeah.
Perfect, thank you. Now, if you have someone who's coming to the gym 3 times a week and they are putting in 70% effort, now you're looking at 210%. We've always talked about like the percentage of effort should be roughly 70%, right? Because that is intensity. Now 70% can be different person to person, whatever that looks like, but you're putting in that effort. Your intensity volume is higher than that person coming 5 days at 40%. That person doing the 70% 3 times a week, they are putting in the work. They're going to get more of those favorable adaptations as we talk about that percentage. So I think it's also important to like look at what that intensity piece looks across, right? In that percentage, right? Over that volume. Somebody's doing 5 days a week. There's high volume, but that person coming 3 times a week is technically doing more work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right?
With that
Over
high
time.
intensity.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But also with that, I always like when it's given in like the percentage range because it's like, okay, if we're looking at intensity as 65-70% of your max effort,
Mhm.
right? Like I think a lot of people, it's like intensity. I gotta be intense. I gotta give 100%. Like you don't have to give 100% for it to be intense.
Well,
Well, you to
and-
have intensity in your workout.
Yeah, and that's not sustainable.
Yeah, and you
Yeah.
can't.
I think
Yeah.
we're going to talk about that, but it's like we say 65-70% because that is a favorable for adaptation. You can come in and do 100% every time, but if you can't maintain that, like Ricky said, like
Yeah.
if you can't only come in 2 days a week and do 100%, and then you have to take a week off or something
Yep.
because you've just drained yourself so much, it's like, it's got to be applied appropriately.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. And so that leads us into our next thing is what is high intensity. So we said 65 to 70%. And I'm just curious how you guys do this as coaches for yourself as athletes. How do you figure out your 70% effort?
If I'm really bad at the workout, I'm sure.
I mean,
I'm very hedonistic, and so I tease myself because I'm like, I only want to do the things that I'm good at, which is not true. But I mean, I think for me, it definitely depends on what it is. Like, if it's a max lift, I have that. That's a number, and so I can very clearly see 70% of my max. Like,
document your workouts.
yeah. I think other times, and kind of like to circle back, it's knowing yourself, knowing your body, and being really realistic about what your fitness level is and where you're at. I think I like to use I listen for when a coach gives like a physical cue, right? So this barbell should be something that you can hang on to for 10 reps. I'm like, oh, okay, yeah. Or this should give you pause. Like this barbell should be heavy enough that you maybe are doing one at a time. And, I like a physical cue because when I'm training, that's what I have.
Mm-hmm.
Right? I mean, you have time and you have, reps and other markers, but I really try to like tune into my own body and what that feels like because it's changes day to day, right?
Mhm.
So
Yeah, your feeling on Monday is gonna be way different than what you're feeling on Friday.
right, and so regardless of time, weight, reps, I mean, I could be doing two different workouts and they could feel, or I could be doing the same workout at two different weights and they feel equally as intense depending on the day. And so that's something I try to do myself and encourage athletes to do is like pay attention to how your body feel like, like what's going on in your body. Like stay connected to that. Don't just get distracted by like all these other there's a lot going on.
Mhm.
That's, I guess, how I approach it as an athlete.
I like that.
Is like I know what it feels like to row at what? I don't know. Like a 145 pace, and I know how long I can hold on to that at any given day. Um yeah, so just kind of paying attention to what my body feels like.
Like that. Anybody else have any
I mean,
insight on this?
I think I do a lot more math in the class than normal. Probably like breaking down. It's like, hey, it should take you about this much time per round type deal. So I'm thinking like movement wise, I'm like, all right, it needs to take me this much, that much. I'm like trying to figure out in my head that type of stuff. So
Didn't know that
that's
you were like
This is
that.
what it's
Yeah.
like inside of an engineer's brain versus a social worker's brain. It's like math and equations, and I'm like feelings and emotions.
I mean, some of that does come into like factor, like how am I feeling today? Like what did I do
Yeah.
yesterday? Like, or how am I feeling? Like we did two. There was two parts to today, two parts the day before. It's like how did I feel after part A? Right? It's like, am I gonna get after this snatch, or am I gonna be like, it's gonna be a technique day for me? Like So
I mean, yeah, like an anecdote. Recently, we had a workout that it was like the 5-to-1, and then the 10-to-1 burpee. So it was like 5 cleans, 10 burpees, 5 shoulder to overhead, and then you like decrease those reps. And it was moderate weight. I'm I would say that like cleans and burpees are my wheelhouse. I was like, this is gonna be great.
Was it the shoulder to overhead?
Oh yeah. Well, also I came out way too hot, right? Like I like hung on to the cleans and then did 10 burpees as fast as I could and wasn't really paying attention. Like I could feel myself getting really elevated and like getting really out of breath, and then went to pick up the barbell and was like, "Oh, I did not pay attention to like I misjudged
Mhm.
like how intense that was going to feel
Mhm.
and started to tank a little bit." But yeah, it's just kind of like on one day I could have crushed that and it wouldn't have been a problem, and on that day that wasn't the case. Um yeah. It's a funny one.
That's
I
funny.
picked it up and I was like, "Oh my god."
I was actually going to use that same workout to define kind of how I like to think of intensity because, well, one, you shouldn't fail reps at 70% intensity, right? So like if you're reaching failure, you're probably in a place depending unless we're like lifting heavy and like trying to do that. So like okay, like today, I shouldn't fail any strict handstand push-ups, so I should come down before I'm going to fail type of deal. But then like on days where I'm like really pushing the intensity, like that day I really pushed intensity, and I noticed my form was not as good.
Mhm.
So like when your form starts to break down a lot, you can kind of see okay, maybe you're pushing intensity. Obviously that is okay every once in a while. We don't want that every day. And we still want your form to be safe.
Yeah.
But like that was kind of one of those days where I was trying to go so fast that my form was kind of off, and the next day I was like feeling it for sure. Right? So you kind of have to play around with like again how you're feeling, and a lot of times I'm like, well, let's see one round in how I'm feeling, and then we'll decide what intensity I'm gonna go out. Like, oh, I'm holding whatever this on the ski today, and it feels pretty good, so I'm gonna try to keep holding that and see what happens. Like, I think I'm with you, Aaron. Like, kind of just feeling it out, and maybe picking one day a week or so to be like, all right, I'm gonna try to go like 90% and see what happens,
Yeah.
type deal.
I think we've all hit enough workouts where we could pretty much look at it and be like, how's this gonna feel? Oh yeah, I think
Yeah.
it's gonna be now for like newer athletes. It's a little more challenging, but I would say for us, we've been doing it enough where you can kind of see the elements and be like, okay, I can probably hold that. I can probably feel this out.
I
Ooh,
roll
this
the
doesn't feel
dice.
good today. I think I'm gonna. What'd you say?
I said I roll the dice.
That's okay
See what
too.
happens.
I do. I think after so many years, like, yes, to a point, you're like, you look at a workout and you're like, on paper, I should do really well at that. And then as you're getting into it, so I think I've had this conversation with Justin a few times. Like before a workout, sometimes I'm like, yeah, I'm not in this. Like my brain's like shutting off. And I'm just like, I'm here to move. And then you get the magic of the clock that goes 3, 2, 1, go, and you're like, okay, I'm going in. And you, as I start, I feel like I do go off of body awareness in a lot of things. I also go off of what I know is like my weakness area. Like sometimes I'll push the pace based off of if that's my weakness, try really hard on that movement and then I'll dial
Yeah.
down the other one. But I'm not going to lie to you. I think, and I know this is probably not the best way to explain this, but I do. I roll the dice as like the workout starts. It is purely based off of can I give more?
Mm-hmm.
Right. And most of the time, I would say at least 3 days a week or so that I come in. Yeah, I would say I'm hitting 70-ish%. And then there's other days where I'm gonna maybe go a little bit higher, and then other days I'm gonna drop pretty low because I'm trying to focus on technique, or I'm trying to focus on a movement that I know is not in my wheelhouse, but I want it to be.
Mhm.
So then I kind of gravitate to the weakness area to say, okay, let's push it here, but I can dial it down in the other ones that I know
Yeah.
I'm super
Yeah.
proficient
Yeah.
on, right?
Yeah.
And so I'll just, again, that's not a great way to, tell newbies to come in, is like, see what happens, Woo, you got sevens, perfect. But I do think that over the course of time, you're going to be able to learn your body awareness, and also coaches in general. There's conversations we have because, when we're in class, we're not coaches, right? If we're doing the class workout, we are
I feel like I
members.
coach sometimes. So people, hey, what do you think? I'm like, I don't know.
I mean, yeah, to an extent. And I think everyone's always going to chime in a little
Yeah.
bit. But I think for the most part, you also have coaches that watch you and know you well enough to be like, hey, you're going to want to pick up that bar now. Like, go. And you're like, okay. Right. So, like, you have a little bit of external outside environment to tell you, you can do this. Like, go pick it up and go. Or they're going to be like, you doing okay? Because you don't look
Maybe
good.
we
You
should
can
back,
slow
maybe
down
let's
should
a
back down
little.
just a little
pull it
bit.
down.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So I think that's how I approach a lot of the workouts for most of the week. Is just kind of like, once the clock starts, your body knows what to do, and it will tell you what it's capable of at the time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's it. That is another way that I like to control intensity, is have little micro goals within the workout. Like, I know I don't control my intensity when I'm like, okay, I'm just gonna go in and not think. I'm just gonna turn my
Hold
brain
my
off
breath and hold go.
and just like see what happens. But then there's days where I'm like, okay, I'm gonna hold this pace on the rower, even if that means I'm taking time away from other things because I'm
Yeah.
so tired from that. Like,
Yep.
picking your intent, like what you're gonna really focus on in the workout, can also help mitigate that intensity a little bit.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I think I do the same thing. I have like little goals in there.
Yeah,
Mhm.
for sure.
Or especially if it's like repeat workouts or benchmarks that we do, it's like, I know I held this last time. I'm gonna try to do it again. Like,
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
is my intensity.
I like that.
So
Like, depending on your goal, right? It's like I probably don't need to show off my skill on a rower on a day where the focus is a gymnastics movement. Like, I should focus on the gymnastics movement.
Right.
And that means like taking it easy on the thing that I know that I can do really well at. But I think another piece too, I'm kind of like, I have a hot take on, I'm a little bit anti fitness tracker. Not anti, but I think that we become overly reliant on them, and I think that you should know in your body, when are you in zone 1, when are you in zone 2, when are you in zone 3? What does that feel like for you? Like, are you holding a conversation pace? Are you, like, would you be able to like talk to someone in the middle of this workout?
Mhm.
Or like, I'm in zone 3 and I'm pushing it and I'm gasping for air and I'm like trying to keep it together. And I think that is going to be like your biggest day to day.
Right.
I think that's the biggest help for me.
Well, and that takes experience.
Yeah, right.
Like,
It takes failure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I actually remember
it takes messing.
talking to
Yeah.
talking to a marathon runner who is very good at running marathons. I worked with him with Dr. Rob, and I remember being like, I ran a zone 2 mile and I got like 7 minutes, and or something like that, and he was like, that wasn't zone 2. And I was like, but I felt good, and he was like, no. Like, you're not running a zone 2 in 7 minutes. Like, zone 2 like takes me 10-ish, 10, 12, 15 minutes to run a mile. Like, I'm literally going at a conversation pace, and I'm like, oh, like, and it just was a lack of understanding and a lack of experience.
Yeah.
Right. And so, like, if I had to give any advice to like someone that's new trying CrossFit, you do kind of have to test the waters.
Yeah.
Like, see what it's like, learn your body, what can you do, what paces can you hold, and sometimes that means like kind of getting burned, and that is okay too. Like, you can leave class
couple
being like,
marks.
dang, that was really tough. I'm realizing that I shouldn't probably hold what I can for a 500-meter row for a 2K, right? Like,
Probably not.
and I think it takes experience and practice and learning. I know when I first started, I was literally like, what is pacing?
Like, I don't understand how you guys, like, and you talk
Yeah.
about it, I don't understand what you mean. So I think it's just experience for a lot of it.
Yeah.
Yeah. And like we're here, coaches are here to like keep you safe in these confines and kind of check in with you about, okay, what are you looking for? Like this is the stimulus we want
Mhm.
for you to get today. Kind of like what are your goals in that? How can we like bring those two things together and keep you safe, but at the same time, like it's gonna take some failure.
Mm-hmm.
Like I failed the, that workout we were talking about, the descending reps, the burpees and the barbell. Like I would say I didn't fail that workout zoomed out when you look at it. Like I finished in the time that we were looking for, but internally I was like, "Oh, I didn't approach that right." Like
Mhm.
I didn't understand the
Yeah.
intensity of that. And it just was like a little bit of like, a, "Oops. That was a mistake." Like I picked that barbell up and I was like, "I have made a huge mistake."
Okay.
Yeah, and so then you kind of adjust and dial back, but yeah, it just takes learning and mistakes, I would say.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Trying to keep your ego out of it too.
Oh heavens.
That's where things start to get when you get burned too much. That's when you know you're like, oh, I should be able to do that. And I'm like, well, okay,
Well, this is that's the perfect segue,
yeah.
which we've kind of already talked about. Too much sauce.
Mm.
Can you have too much sauce?
You can have too
Yeah.
much sauce.
Like, let's be honest though, in the real world, like, can you have too much sauce?
Depends on the sauce.
It's okay.
That's fair.
I know some people that like fries with their ketchup, and it's like that's too much sauce.
You don't like
It's more.
ketchup?
It's more.
No.
It's more
Oh,
Fries with their ketchup, not ketchup with their fries.
Yeah.
You know.
I understand.
you can't have too much Chick-fil-A sauce, I don't think.
No, probably
I what?
Yeah.
Okay, so can you have too much intensity?
yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Absolutely.
What does that look like?
Burnout.
burnout.
It's not being able to recover so that you can come in consistently, right? If your intensity level starts to detract from or distract from your consistency in putting in effort and coming to the gym and being able to move the next day, right? If you're pushing so hard that the next day you can't get out of bed because your legs are burnt out or your upper body, like you can't sit up, right? Everyone's going to get sore. That's not
You got wrapped up.
right. But if you're consistently hitting that kind of intensity level to the point where you're like, oh, I hit so hard every week that I can't come in the next 4 days, we miss the mark.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And that's when it's been too much because you're not allowing your body to continuously move. You're not allowing yourself to, you're not learning the way to scale. You're not learning the approach of pick and choose your battles a little bit in the gym. Like if I'm coming in and I'm consistently, if I wasn't able to come in 5 days a week, or 3 to 5 days a week, let's say that 3 to 5 days a week, because well, I about killed myself on a rower. And I did so many pull-ups, even though I've never hit that volume before. I've never done that amount of pull-ups and rowing and this and that. And the next day I'm like, oh, guess what? I can't lift my arms for the next 3-4 days.
Scratch my own head.
Yeah, like yeah, I can't lift my arms past this point. I think we've hit a problem, right?
Yeah.
If that's your consistent behavior. So that's when intensity becomes almost volatile a little bit.
I like that you said consistent behavior. Like, if that's what's consistently happening, that it's like every day you come in and you're like, "Oh, I can't sit on the toilet." Like,
Yep.
it's like if that happens every once in a while, that's okay.
Yep.
But if it's happening consistently every day, or
Every
you
week.
have to miss every other day because you can't move the next day, that's where it can become a detriment.
Yeah.
So I like the way you said that.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely think if we're simultaneously going to talk about like sometimes you got to push intensity, it's like salty Karen, it's wall balls and running. Like, yeah, everyone in the gym's legs are going to be sore for the rest of the week. Um and yeah, like, that shouldn't be happening. Like that level of pain shouldn't be happening. And then I think too, I think my addition to intensity is the independent variable most commonly associated with favorable adaptation with appropriate recovery. Like if you're going to go really hard, like the adaptation isn't going to happen if you're not also letting yourself recover, which is sleep, is eating correctly, like, you know, continuing to move but not at 90 100%. So you also like the intensity yeah, that adaptation's gonna happen if you let your body recover
Right.
and therefore adapt. Like the recovery is where the adaptation actually happens. And so if you're coming in 5 days a week, like going 80-90%, like your body can't recover and let that adaptation actually start to happen.
That's where injury.
And
I
that's
was
where
gonna say
injury, that's where injury
Yeah.
happens.
That's where intensity.
Or just like
comes in.
mental burnout too. Like I
That-
think that is also an important piece, just like mentally and emotionally
Mhm.
letting yourself recover.
Yeah, I really, really appreciate you adding in that recovery piece because that's where the adaptation happens, right?
It's science, baby.
Yeah. Like that's when your muscles are building is when they're repairing themselves, right? So I think that was an awesome analogy. Thanks for adding that in. Anything else you guys want to talk about with too much intensity?
I would say to their, I mean, they've already cleared off pretty much of it, but I would say if you're continually coming in here and missing the mark on every workout, we are not applying intensity correctly.
Yes.
Yeah,
I think
love that.
whether that's you are drastically under what we're looking for or drastically over, we need to center that somehow. Like,
Yeah.
you're gonna have days where you're like miss it by a little bit here, a little bit there. Like that is acceptable. Like that is we are doing a good job there. You're doing a good job. We're doing a good job. But if you're constantly coming in 10 minutes behind everybody or you're blowing everybody away by 10 minutes or something like that, if it's time domain, it's like that needs to get adjusted.
Yeah.
Like you're not going to see the benefits that we have in here if we're continually doing that type of thing.
Yeah.
Right. It's
Which
like,
is why we try to tell you
yeah, try to give you.
we're looking for about 5 to 7 rounds, like somewhere in that range. And so if you're coming in at 2.5, like, yeah, every once in a while, that's okay. You're learning. But if it's consistently, like maybe we should make some adjustments here.
And it's also there's always the idea of like, well, I want to do it RX and I wanted this. Nobody gets to RX just walking into the gym. Nobody's gonna walk into the gym and be like, man, I can do RX and I'm gonna hit that mark like just right off the get go. But the people that try to shoot for it every time, be realistic with yourself and what you are capable of, like what your capacity for intensity looks like. I think it's just a big conversation to have. And again, most of the time people have the answer in your head. As coaches, you ask the question sometimes of realistically, how many handstand push-ups can you do in this like unbroken consistently? Well, maybe only like 2 to 3. Okay, so then we are not going to have you do 60 reps in the workout. We're going to cut it back, right? Don't overshoot yourself. You know the answer. Most of the time, again, we're just asking leading questions. I would like to say we always ask leading questions. For the most part, I think people kind of understand what their capacity is, but don't blow the capacity out of the water just because you think you should, right? Take the ego out of it. We talked about this earlier. Take your ego out of it on the days that it's needed to. Be honest with yourself, adjust, get what is intended so that you don't burn out, you don't cause injury, you don't. And honestly, it's almost like mental injury too, to an extent, right? Like the like hit you have to take mentally to be like, man, I was 12 minutes slower than everyone else. Like at some point, like after a while, that's not healthy mental behavior either. As you progress doing CrossFit, that does lead to a burnout. And that's sometimes why people will walk away sometimes, is because they're like, I couldn't handle it. It's
too intense.
I was too intense. I was pushing for too much. And that's not what we want. It's consistent behavior with intensity.
Do you know what I was just thinking that I wish? You know how sometimes people like yell their score and be like, scaled?
Yeah.
I want people to start telling me their score and being like, stimulus hit.
yeah, for real.
Stimulus not
Yeah.
hit. Stimulus hit. I messed up somewhere. Stimulus not hit. Like,
oh yeah.
And I mean, yeah.
That'd be awesome. I just shout out, miss the mark, coach.
yeah. I think we get that when we're like, smiley face. Sometimes I just don't want to count.
That was me this morning. I don't think I got it very well this morning, but I was just going for it.
I think it's good to take a smiley face day every once in a
Now
while.
my neck hurts, so just so you know. Oh yeah.
Okay, let's get into our next thing. Intensity varies. We're going to talk about this in 2 different ways. We'll start with person to person. So how does intensity vary from me to Ricky, from Ricky to Garrett to Aaron to Aaron to Garrett's grandma.
I'm gonna swear the F word's coming, so just prepare yourself. Lips fit as fuck.
So how do people how does that intensity vary from person to person?
Constantly, I think.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, I think there's even within, like we've talked about this kind of, but like even within myself, just Aaron to Aaron, my intensity can vary wildly from day to day,
Mm-hmm.
depending on where I've pushed myself or what I've done outside of the gym or, whatever. So even just within myself, what feels intense or where I was in my fitness 5 years ago versus where I am today, like all of that. And then from person to person, it's like, yeah, we all have different backgrounds, we have different experiences, we have different strengths, right? So, like, my background as a swimmer informs what I'm kind of naturally good at, I would say, versus someone whose background is maybe a gymnast or a soccer player or never played sports or, you know, um, so just your own genetic makeup and your own experience and
Mm-hmm.
your own like skills and mental state. I mean, there's so many things that like go into it. It's almost futile to try and like pick
We
it
all
apart.
have different walks of life,
Yeah.
different daily demands, different nutrition regimens. It's
Yeah.
all because the CrossFit community is so vast and varying that it pulls people from all different walks of life. So what's right for me is not going to be the same thing that's right for my mom or for Ricky or for Justin or Trish.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I mean, look at Trish. She just had a baby. Her intensity now has completely changed because of that, right? It's like it's all going to be different, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's just come in, do what's right for you, and if you don't know, we'll help you out. So
Yeah, I think again you're talking about so many demographics and so many variables to take into account when you're in your 20s. I'm in my 30s. You've done sports, cheerleading. You've done so many things throughout your life. I know Aaron has too. Garrett, right? And then you take that. I mean, this is kind of then you're going to take in age, right? Of somebody in their 60s and their 70s. Their version absolutely is going to be very different than ours across the board, or somebody who's 16 years old who has no idea what pain receptors are yet. There's so many things to take into account. And I love that, you bring up athletic backgrounds, you bring up what has been your stress exposure over the years from a physical standpoint, and taking that into account with exposure to CrossFit as well, right? Like over the course of years, you then learn yourself and what you're capable of throughout those years, and it's going to change. And so you can't say like there's this group, there's this group, there's this group. It's going to fluctuate constantly every day we come in here.
And yeah, like everybody has seasons, and I think it's really important to like break these things down in terms of CrossFit and science and all of these, but also like I just really want to stress like the emotional and mental state of someone as well, right? Like,
Yeah.
if you're going through a really tough time in your life, like I've been there where every time I worked out, I cried,
Mm-hmm.
right? And so like it was hard. Like I wasn't pushing myself like I had been because like the emotional weight of what I was going through at the time was intense enough. Like, it's like I got on the rower for 200 meters and I gotta go cry. Like, it's okay. It's okay. So you gotta like kind of, like, like, excuse me.
I love that you said that because our body doesn't know the difference between physical and mental stress.
Yeah.
So we don't give our emotional and mental stress enough credit for taking a toll on our body because it does. It absolutely does. And if like I just can't emphasize it enough. If you're really going through a really stressful, hard time, really cut yourself some slack in the gym because your body doesn't understand the difference between those stressors. It's already trying to adapt to one thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right?
I mean, like, I've had an athlete in here who, for like a week or so was just like, like, I can do chest to bar, but like, I need something that's fun. Like, I need to make this workout something that I will feel accomplished and not challenged.
be
Just,
enjoyable.
like,
Need a win.
emotionally, like I need this to be fun. And I'm like, okay, that's great. Like, I can work with that.
Well, and that honesty is important too.
Yeah,
It's like,
yeah.
okay, let's make this fun. What would be fun for you?
Yeah.
What pull-up option is most fun for you? Like, I want this to be somewhere where you can let go of the stresses and those different types of things.
Like all the other intensity in your life.
right,
Yeah.
right, right. The coolest thing about my favorite thing about the gym is it is controlled stress.
Yeah.
You get to be in control of the stressor, right? Whereas a lot of times outside of here, there's a lot of stressors that you can't control. And it's not as fun. But being in control of your stress can be fun and exciting, and that also helps you adapt so that when you find stresses out there,
Yeah.
you can adapt better.
Yeah.
So that's one of the coolest things I kind of think about intensity in the gym. So how does intensity vary from live to live and Ricky to Ricky, Aaron to Aaron, Garrett to Garrett, right? Within ourselves. You kind of mentioned some of these things already, Aaron. But how does intensity vary day to day? What types of things go into that? What different variables?
Jeez. Work life, school, your own mental fortitude. Like, I mean, we kind of talk about this in like almost like a negative side of like maybe you're just going through a hard time and so you want to dial it back. And I also know of myself and a few other people who they're like, I'm super stressed out. I am going to burn on this workout. Like, I'm going to burn out
Yeah.
intentionally.
Yeah.
Right. And so that variable, I mean, there's almost too many, right? There's too many. There's going to be people who are really strong at squatting in a workout, so they're going to be super, super fast on that workout. And again, depending on the day, maybe your legs are super sore. That intensity is going to differ from Monday to Wednesday when we squatted on Monday and you're like, I went for it and I killed it. And then on Wednesday, you're like, I'm out. Like, I'm going to slow down. So everyone has so many internal, external factors that are going to change hour to hour, week by week, month to month, year to year, right? You have to just injuries, kind of limitations, all of that. There's almost too long of a laundry list at that point.
Mm.
I would say for me, it's definitely, you mentioned seasons, right? For me, it's very seasonal because I'm very active on the weekends in the wintertime skiing, and Monday comes around and I haven't gotten any rest or recovery on the weekends. Mostly being very unhealthy while I'm skiing too. So it's usually Monday rolls around. It's like if I make it in on a Monday, it's usually pretty low intensity because it's like my body does need a break. I can feel it. It's like I'm not moving well. I don't want to hurt myself. So it's like kind of ease into the week type of deal for me. But and then in the summertime, it's like I can be a little bit more intense because I'm not as active with things in the summertime. So unless we're doing like projects and stuff around the house,
Right.
it's like,
Well, that leads into like some of the obvious factors: sleeping,
yeah,
nutrition,
Yep. I was just gonna say
your
that.
intensity from the day before. If it was a 90% intensity day, I'm not going to expect another 90% intensity day, right? I'm going to hopefully get to that 65, 70%, so I'm still hitting that high intensity, but it's not going to be like yesterday, right? It's going to be different.
I'd also say to Ricky's point, like if I see a workout that looks like a lot of fun,
Yeah.
I'm gonna cut her loose.
Yeah.
Mhm.
If I see another workout where like mentally I'm like kind of like, oh, this is not gonna be good. Like it's a lot of my weaknesses. It's got like heavy barbells in it. It's just like I might not have the best attitude when I go into it, so that'll also affect my intensity level. 'Cause I'm already kind of just going in just like, this is gonna beat me down so hard.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So some of that plays a factor in, at least for me personally. It's
Yeah.
I can see like workouts that I truly enjoy. I'm like, oh, has elements that I'm really good at. Like I can really cut her loose, really push it kind of deal. And then other times where it's like, these are going to be challenging movements. I already know that it's just going to be a little bit more rest than I want in that workout because they're going to burn me out, and then that's okay. So,
Anything else you guys want to touch on with intensity?
Be kind to yourself.
Yeah, that's
Yeah, just
if you're really lost in it, it's okay to undershoot. If you don't really know, it's like I'd rather you undershoot something and maybe finish a little quicker, get a little bit further into it than you need to, because at the end of the day, you're still going to get a good workout, right?
Yeah, and I would actually go both ways. It's
Yeah.
okay to undershoot, and it's okay to overshoot every once in a while,
Just
because
don't
that's how
take
you learn, right? That's how you learn about your body, and I think really being very aware of yourself, and learning about yourself in here is really important with intensity. So
Yeah.
I highly recommend paying attention, logging your scores, figuring out your paces, your sets, and every once in a while, see if you can do something harder.
Roll the dice.
Yeah, every once in a while, roll
Yeah.
the dice.
I think, yeah, like, be kind to yourself. I think intensity, I think, is like the best way that we can really learn about ourselves, like our body, but also like our mental fortitude, right? Like when you hit the wall and you're like, I don't think I can keep going, this was too intense, and then you just somehow find a way to, and you might surprise yourself. You're like, oh, that actually went way better than I thought it did. I mean, all of those things are directly transferable to life outside of the gym, and I think, that's the cool part about what we do.
Mm-hmm.
Be nice to yourself.
Yeah,
Roll the dice.
absolutely.
Take a risk.
I was thinking, like, actually, one of the best feelings is like when you do good on a workout and someone's like, wow, like you were so fast. And it's like, thank you. I tried so hard.
Yeah.
I was
Yeah.
pushing myself
Like,
to my limit.
I feel good about that.
I feel really good about that.
Yeah.
Thank you. Like,
Well, you bring up an interesting point, and we touched on it just a little bit, but for maybe some people it doesn't. What does doing good in this workout mean to you?
mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Set that goal. Like, what does that mean to you?
Yeah.
Right? Yeah, we have ideas of like we want you to be in this time frame, but like for you specifically, like I want to do 5 unbroken pull-ups every time I get up on that pull bar, or setting those like what does the intensity goal mean for you?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And if you can get to that point, you already got it, right?
Yeah.
Like whether you achieve it or not, you've already set a goal that you know that you want to work for. Like that, that is your implied intensity. It's like doing good on a workout is different for everybody, right? Like,
It is.
yeah, we have an idea of like time frames and things like that, but like good is it's all variable, like intensity for every person.
Mm-hmm.
And if you can get to that point mentally, like good for this workout for me means I'm hitting like today, like I did 235-pound deadlift. And I was like, that felt great. And I loved it. It was awesome, and I was able to do strict pull ups. Like, didn't do them very fast, but I still did them. So
Mm-hmm.
for me, that was good enough for me. Like, I felt like I gave it, something. So
Yeah, absolutely.
So
Well, thank you guys for all joining me today.
Thank you.
And please remember, everyone, intensity is the secret sauce.